The monster that destroyed half of New Dawn Colony had once been its greatest hero. When the first alarm sounded, nobody believed it. For 12 years, the creature known as Guardian 7 had protected the colony from every danger the hostile planet could offer. It had fought giant predators, stopped stampeding beasts, and even saved hundreds of colonists during deadly radiation storms. Children drew pictures of it. Workers greeted it every morning. Some even called it the colony's silent guardian angel. That was why the first reports sounded impossible. It attacked a patrol team. The message spread across the colony network like wildfire. Governor Elena Hayes stared at the emergency report displayed on her holoscreen. "That can't be right," she said. Across the command center, Security Chief Marcus Reed looked equally confused. "The survivors are insisting it's Guardian 7. Silence filled the room. Outside the transparent dome, dawn was breaking over the crimson plains of Kepler 442X. Massive mountains stood against the horizon while storms rolled through distant valleys. New Dawn Colony depended on Guardian 7 more than anyone liked to admit. The creature was not native to the planet. It had been engineered by human scientists years earlier as part of Project Sentinel. Using advanced genetic technology, researchers had created a living biological protector. Strong enough to fight predators. Intelligent enough to recognize colonists. Loyal enough to obey commands. The experiment had exceeded every expectation. Guardian 7 stood nearly 15 feet tall on 4 powerful limbs. Thick armored skin covered its body, and glowing blue sensory organs allowed it to detect threats kilometers away. Most importantly, it loved protecting humans. At least it used to. Marcus activated surveillance footage. The screen showed a routine mining patrol moving through Sector 12. Everything looked normal. Then Guardian 7 appeared. Several workers waved at it. The creature stopped. For a moment it simply stared. Then something horrifying happened. Its body suddenly twitched. Blue veins flashed beneath its skin. The creature let out a scream unlike anything recorded before. And then it attacked. Massive claws tore through vehicles. Security drones exploded. The patrol barely escaped with their lives. The footage ended. Nobody spoke. Finally Elena broke the silence. "What caused this?" A scientist near the back of the room slowly stood. Dr. Amelia Cross looked exhausted. Dark circles surrounded her eyes. She had led the recent biosecurity upgrades on Guardian 7. And she looked terrified. 3 days ago, she said quietly, we detected a cellular instability inside its genetic structure. Marcus frowned. "You said it was harmless." "We thought it was." Amelia pulled up medical scans. The images showed strange mutations spreading throughout the creature's body. The biosecurity enhancement package was supposed to strengthen its immune system. Nobody liked the sound of "supposed to." Instead of improving the Guardian, something had gone horribly wrong. Its cells were changing, evolving, mutating, and nobody knew how far the transformation would go. Before anyone could respond, another alarm erupted across the command center. Technicians immediately turned toward their monitors. Faces turned pale. Marcus rushed to the nearest screen. "No! What is it?" Elena demanded. The security chief swallowed hard. Another attack. A map appeared above the command table. Red warning lights flashed across multiple sectors. Agricultural Dome 3. Power Station Beta. Northern Transit Route. The attacks were happening simultaneously, as if Guardian 7 was moving faster than physically possible. Then new camera feeds appeared. The entire room froze. The creature was barely recognizable. Its body had doubled in size. Black armored growths covered its skin. Its glowing blue eyes had become burning crimson lights. The colony's protector was disappearing. Something else was taking its place. And whatever it was becoming, it was heading directly toward the heart of New Dawn Colony. The nightmare had only just begun. Panic spread across New Dawn Colony faster than any storm the planet had ever produced. Emergency sirens echoed through every district. Families abandoned homes. Workers left factories. Transport lines became crowded with frightened colonists trying to reach shelter. Above them all, the colony network repeated the same warning. Remain indoors. Avoid all contact with Guardian 7. The announcement sounded absurd. For over a decade, people had trusted the creature with their lives. Now they were being told to hide from it. Inside the command center, Governor Elena Hayes watched new surveillance footage arrive every minute. Each report was worse than the last. The monster was changing rapidly. Its body continued growing. Its movements were becoming more violent. And most disturbing of all, it seemed completely unpredictable. One moment it ignored a group of civilians. The next moment it destroyed an entire security checkpoint. There was no pattern, no logic, no warning. Dr. Amelia Cross analyzed incoming biological scans with increasing horror. The readings made no sense. It's evolving too fast, she whispered. Marcus Reed turned toward her. How fast? Amelia enlarged several graphs. The mutation should have taken months. She pointed at the data. This is happening in hours. Nobody liked that answer. A scientist beside her looked at the numbers and went pale. That's impossible. Amelia shook her head. Apparently not. The biosecurity upgrade had accidentally activated dormant genetic material hidden deep inside Guardian 7's original design. Those ancient genes were now rewriting the creature from the inside out. Every cell was changing. Every organ was adapting. Every minute made the monster stronger. Then another transmission arrived. A security team near Power Station Beta had encountered the creature. The footage immediately appeared on the main screen. 20 armed soldiers stood behind defensive barriers. Heavy plasma cannons were aimed directly at Guardian 7. The creature emerged from a cloud of dust. Gasps filled the command center. It looked even larger now. Nearly 25 feet tall. Massive black spikes protruded from its back. Crimson eyes burned like fire. The team commander raised a weapon. Guardian 7, stand down immediately. For a brief moment, the creature stopped moving. Everyone watched hopefully. Maybe some part of it remained. Maybe the Guardian was still inside. Then the monster tilted its head. A low growl escaped its throat. And suddenly it charged. The ground shook beneath its weight. Plasma fire erupted from every direction. Bright explosions slammed into the creature's armor. Most predators would have been vaporized instantly. Guardian 7 barely slowed down. Its mutated skin absorbed the blasts. A massive claw smashed through the defensive wall. Soldiers scattered. Vehicles flipped through the air. The video ended in static. Nobody needed to see the rest. Silence filled the room. Finally Marcus spoke. We need evacuation protocols. Elena nodded immediately. How many civilians are still outside secured zones? A technician checked the numbers. Nearly 60,000. The governor closed her eyes. That was almost half the colony. Moving that many people would take time. Time they might not have. Then a new alarm appeared. This one was different. Amelia's face turned white. What happened? Elena asked. The scientist pointed at a biological monitor. The room became silent once more. Deep beneath the colony sat the Sentinel Research Facility. It contained every genetic sample used during Project Sentinel, including unstable prototypes, including experimental organisms, including dangerous biological materials. And Guardian 7 was heading directly toward it. Marcus immediately understood the danger. If it reaches that facility, it could absorb new genetic material, Amelia finished. The implications were terrifying. The monster was already becoming stronger with every passing hour. If it entered the research complex, nobody could predict what it might become afterward. Elena stood from her chair. Her decision was immediate. Begin full evacuation. What about Guardian 7? Marcus asked. The governor looked toward the image of the creature towering over destroyed buildings. For the first time, she stopped calling it Guardian 7. Whatever that thing is now, she said quietly, we cannot allow it to reach the facility. Outside, The crimson sky darkened as another storm approached. And somewhere beyond the colony walls, the former protector was racing toward the most dangerous place on the entire planet. The evacuation of New Dawn Colony began under a sky filled with red lightning. Thousands of civilians poured into emergency transport hubs. Families carried bags, children, and whatever possessions they could grab before fleeing. Massive evacuation ships descended through the storm clouds one after another. Yet even as people escaped, everyone knew the terrible truth. The colony might not survive the night. Inside Command Center Alpha, Governor Elena Hayes watched the evacuation numbers climb. 30,000 civilians evacuated. Then 40,000. Then 50,000. It still wasn't enough. The monster continued moving toward the Sentinel Research Facility. Every security team sent to slow it down had failed. Some never reported back. Others barely escaped alive. Marcus Reed stood beside a tactical display showing the creature's route. It's cutting through the industrial districts. He pointed at flashing red markers. Nothing is stopping it. Elena looked toward Dr. Amelia Cross. There has to be a weakness. Amelia hesitated. There may be one. The room immediately focused on her. Years earlier, when Project Sentinel had created Guardian 7, engineers had included a final emergency safeguard. A biological kill switch. If the creature ever became uncontrollable, a specialized explosive device could trigger a chain reaction inside its engineered cells. The process would destroy the organism completely. Marcus frowned. Then why haven't we used it already? Amelia looked away. Because the mutation changed its biology. The original kill switch signal no longer worked. Guardian 7 had evolved beyond its design. The only remaining option was far more dangerous. A direct explosive detonation. Inside the creature. Nobody liked where this conversation was going. How powerful? Elena asked. Amelia enlarged a schematic. The answer appeared on the screen. Several officers cursed. The bomb required was enormous. Strong enough to destroy a mountain. If detonated near the colony, thousands could die. Marcus crossed his arms. So we have to get close enough to plant it. Amelia nodded. Inside its chest cavity. The room became silent. Everyone understood what that meant. The mission was practically suicidal. Before anyone could respond, a transmission suddenly interrupted the discussion. One of the colony's outer sensor stations had activated. A drone feed appeared on the main display. The image showed Guardian 7 approaching the Sentinel Research Facility. Gasps spread throughout the command center. The creature had become gigantic. Nearly 40 feet tall. Black armor covered most of its body. Crimson energy pulsed beneath the surface like molten lava. Every step left cracks in the ground. But what truly frightened Amelia was the biological scan. The mutation was accelerating again. That's impossible. Marcus looked at her. What now? The scientist pointed at the numbers. The monster was adapting to everything around it. Environmental toxins, radiation, weapon impacts, even atmospheric conditions. Its body was learning, improving, evolving. If this continued much longer, no weapon on the colony would be able to stop it. Then the nightmare became worse. The drone camera zoomed closer. Guardian 7 stopped in front of the research facility. For several seconds, it simply stared, almost as if it recognized the place. The building where it had been born. The laboratory where humans had created it. Then it attacked. Massive claws smashed through reinforced walls. Entire sections of the facility collapsed. Alarms erupted across every monitoring system. Containment chambers exploded. Research vaults shattered. Experimental genetic materials spilled into the ruins. Amelia felt sick. This can't be happening. The monster entered the facility. Minutes later, new biological readings arrived. Everyone froze. Guardian 7 wasn't just destroying the genetic samples. It was absorbing them. Its mutated body was consuming foreign DNA and integrating it instantly. Marcus stared at the screen in disbelief. What does that mean? Amelia answered with a trembling voice. It means we're running out of time. The monster that once protected New Dawn Colony was no longer a failed experiment. It was becoming an entirely new species. And if it survived long enough, humanity might lose any chance of stopping it forever. The moment Guardian 7 began absorbing genetic material from the Sentinel research facility, the situation changed from a colony emergency to a survival crisis. There would be no cure, no rescue, no way to bring the creature back. The Guardian that humanity had loved for 12 years was gone. Inside Command Center Alpha, Governor Elena Hayes made the hardest decision of her life. Prepare containment protocol. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what those words meant. Guardian 7 would have to be destroyed. Marcus Reed immediately began organizing the operation. The mission received a simple name: Operation Last Light. Its objective was brutally straightforward. A strike team would enter the ruined research facility. They would plant a quantum fusion charge directly inside the creature's body. Then they would lure it away from the colony, far enough that the explosion would not kill the remaining civilians. Simple in theory, almost impossible in practice. The volunteers arrived within minutes. Security officers, pilots, engineers, veterans who had spent years working beside Guardian 7. Not one of them looked happy. Many had tears in their eyes. The creature had saved friends, saved families, saved entire settlements. Now they were preparing to kill it. Captain Ethan Voss stood at the front of the group. A former military officer, he had worked with Guardian 7 longer than anyone else. The creature had once saved his life during a predator attack beyond the colony walls. If anyone understood the sacrifice being made, it was him. Marcus handed him a detonator. You know the risks. Ethan nodded. We all do. The strike team boarded armored assault transports. As engines roared to life, thousands of colonists watched from evacuation centers. Nobody cheered. Nobody celebrated. The mood felt like a funeral. Outside, the storm had grown monstrous. Red lightning illuminated the dark horizon. The ruined Sentinel research facility stood in the distance like a broken skeleton. And somewhere inside it waited the monster. The transports reached the facility less than 20 minutes later. The destruction was unbelievable. Entire buildings had been ripped apart. Steel walls looked like crushed paper. Burning debris covered the landscape. As Ethan stepped onto the ground, he immediately noticed something disturbing. Everything was quiet. Far too quiet. Stay alert, he ordered. The team advanced through shattered corridors. Motion trackers remained silent. No movement. No sound. No sign of Guardian 7. Then they entered the central genetic vault. And froze. The creature stood before them. It was enormous. Nearly 50 feet tall. Its body no longer resembled the Guardian they once knew. Black armor plates covered every limb. Massive spikes extended from its back. Glowing crimson veins pulsed beneath its skin. The creature looked less like an animal and more like a living weapon. Yet something strange happened. It did not attack. Instead, it stared at the humans. Silently, almost curiously. Ethan slowly stepped forward. For one brief moment, he thought he saw recognition in its eyes. A memory. A fragment of the protector that had once existed. Then the creature suddenly screamed. The sound shook the facility. Every light exploded. The monster's body convulsed violently. Its mutation was still continuing. Still growing. Still consuming it from within. The moment passed. The familiar spark disappeared. The crimson eyes burned brighter than ever. And Guardian 7 attacked. The battle erupted instantly. Explosions filled the chamber. Soldiers scattered in every direction. The giant monster smashed through reinforced walls and tore security vehicles apart like toys. Yet amid the chaos, Ethan saw his opportunity. The creature's chest armor had split open during the mutation. A glowing cavity pulsed beneath the surface. An opening. A target. Exactly where the fusion charge needed to go. Gripping the explosive device tightly, Ethan ran directly toward the monster. Because Operation Last Light had reached its most dangerous phase. And the fate of New Dawn Colony now depended on a single impossible gamble. The giant creature roared as Captain Ethan Voss sprinted across the collapsing chamber. Around him, explosions shook the ruined research facility. Chunks of metal rained from the ceiling. Warning sirens screamed through the darkness. And directly ahead stood the monster that had once been humanity's greatest protector. Ethan gripped the fusion charge against his chest. The device was heavy, powerful enough to erase the creature forever. If he could get close enough. The problem was surviving long enough to do it. Guardian 7 slammed one of its massive claws into the floor. The impact threw soldiers through the air. Shockwaves rippled across the chamber. Several armored vehicles flipped onto their sides. The strike team continued firing everything they had. Missiles, plasma cannons, rail rifles. Most of the attacks barely slowed the creature. But they created distractions. And distractions were exactly what Ethan needed. Keep it focused on us. Marcus shouted over the comms from Command Center Alpha. The surviving soldiers obeyed immediately. Bright streams of plasma fire lit the chamber. The monster turned toward them. For a brief moment, its attention shifted away from Ethan. He ran faster. 20 meters. 15. 10. The opening in the creature's chest was clearly visible now. Crimson energy pulsed inside like a second heart. The mutation had become unstable. Amelia's voice suddenly came through the radio. Ethan, listen carefully. I'm listening. The scans are showing critical overload. What does that mean? Her answer chilled everyone. It means the creature is dying. Ethan nearly stopped. What? The mutation is consuming itself. The foreign DNA is incompatible. Its body is collapsing internally. For a moment, nobody spoke. The monster had become too powerful. Too unstable. Its own evolution was destroying it. Yet that wasn't good news. Because if it died naturally, the energy building inside it could detonate like a nuclear explosion. And it would happen right beside the colony. Marcus immediately understood. We still need the fusion charge. Yes, Amelia said. It's the only way to direct the explosion safely. Another deafening roar echoed across the battlefield. Guardian 7 smashed through a wall and emerged into the open landscape beyond the facility. Red lightning illuminated its enormous silhouette. The creature was fleeing. Not attacking. Not hunting. Running. Almost as if some remaining instinct understood what was happening inside its body. Ethan followed without hesitation. The strike team jumped into armored transports and gave chase. The monster charged across the Crimson Plains. Behind it, the lights of New Dawn Colony glowed on the horizon. Every kilometer mattered. Every minute mattered. The farther they could lure it from the colony, the more lives could be saved. For nearly an hour the pursuit continued through storms and rocky canyons. The creature grew increasingly unstable. Crimson energy leaked from cracks in its armor. Its movements became erratic. Several times it stumbled. Several times it nearly fell. Finally, deep within an isolated mountain valley, the giant beast collapsed. The ground trembled beneath its weight. Ethan climbed from his transport. The fusion charge remained attached to his armor. This was the moment. The end of Operation Last Light. As he approached the fallen monster, something unexpected happened. Guardian 7 slowly lifted its head. The crimson glow faded slightly. And for the first time in days, its eyes looked familiar. Not like a monster. Not like a weapon. Like the Guardian they had once known. Ethan stopped only a few feet away. The giant creature stared at him. Then lowered its head. As if accepting what had to happen. As if saying goodbye. Ethan felt a knot form in his throat. But there was no time left. The energy readings were reaching catastrophic levels. Humanity had one final chance. One final choice. And the last chapter of Guardian 7's story was about to begin. The storm above the mountain valley raged like the end of the world. Red lightning flashed across the sky. Thunder rolled between the distant peaks. And in the center of the valley lay the dying giant that had once protected New Dawn Colony. Captain Ethan Voss stood before Guardian 7 in silence. The fusion charge rested in his hands. Only minutes remained. Maybe less. Every sensor in his armor displayed the same warning. Critical energy overload imminent. The creature's body was breaking apart. Crimson light leaked through cracks in its armor. The mutation had reached its final stage. Soon the unstable energy inside it would explode. If that happened naturally, the resulting blast would destroy everything within hundreds of kilometers, including New Dawn colony. Ethan took a slow breath. Then he stepped forward. Guardian 7 did not resist. The giant creature simply watched him. Its eyes no longer burned with rage. The madness was gone. For the first time since the mutation began, something of the old Guardian had returned. Perhaps the creature understood its fate. Or perhaps it simply remembered the humans it had spent years protecting. Ethan reached the opening in its chest. The exposed cavity pulsed with unstable energy. Every pulse shook the ground beneath his boots. Carefully, he attached the fusion charge deep inside the glowing wound. The device locked into place. A green light appeared. Armed. The countdown began immediately. 5 minutes. That was all they had. Ethan activated his communicator. Charge planted. Cheers erupted across the command network. But they were short-lived. The danger wasn't over. Not yet. Ethan, get out of there. Marcus shouted. Ethan turned toward his transport. Then stopped. Guardian 7 was struggling to stand. The giant creature rose slowly onto its feet. Every movement looked painful. Every step looked like torture. Yet it wasn't moving toward the colony. It was moving away from it. Toward the center of the valley. Toward the most isolated point possible. Realization spread across every command channel. The Guardian knew. Even now, after everything that had happened, it was trying to protect humanity. Tears filled Amelia Cross's eyes as she watched the live drone feed. It remembers. No one answered. No one needed to. The truth was visible to everyone. The mutation had turned the colony's protector into a monster. But it had never completely erased what Guardian 7 truly was. A guardian. A protector. A friend. Ethan finally climbed into his transport and accelerated away from the valley. The countdown continued. 4 minutes. 3. 2. The strike team raced toward a safe distance while evacuation ships watched from orbit. Across New Dawn colony, thousands of people stood in silence. Waiting. Praying. Remembering. The final minute arrived. Guardian 7 remained standing alone in the center of the valley. Its silhouette towered beneath the storm clouds. A lonely giant facing the end. Then the countdown reached 0. A brilliant white light consumed the valley. For a moment, night became day. The fusion charge detonated. A massive sphere of energy expanded outward before collapsing into itself. Mountains shook. Shockwaves rolled across the planet. Then everything became still. The storm slowly faded. The crimson clouds began to clear. And Guardian 7 was gone. Days later, the surviving colonists gathered outside New Dawn colony. A memorial was built overlooking the distant mountains. Not for a monster. For a hero. A simple inscription was carved into black stone. Guardian 7. Created by humanity. Protector until the end. The colony survived. Humanity survived. And the story of the Guardian who sacrificed everything became a legend told across the stars. Not as a warning about failed experiments, but as a reminder that courage, loyalty, and sacrifice can survive even the darkest transformation. Because in its final moments, the monster chose to be a guardian once more. And that choice saved an entire world. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more HFY adventures among the stars.